There's new hope for 250,000 British retirees in Australia whose pensions are frozen or not indexed to keep up with inflation. Advocates say the freeze costs Canberra $220 million a year. That's because Australia makes up for the shrinking British pensions. But a leading British MP says Brexit may finally force a change in British pension policy. Social Affairs correspondent Norman Hermont reports.
It's a quest that's almost all-consuming.
Yeah, so there's booklets about the different levels of pension that...
Jim Tilley has spent 15 years campaigning to unfreeze British pensions.
...and sent to the British Pensions Working Party.
For British pensioners who retire abroad, the world is split in two. In countries like the US and in the EU, UK pensions are indexed. They rise yearly to keep up with inflation. That's not the case for British pensioners here.
If they come out to Australia, Canada in particular, the two major countries, and New Zealand and South Africa, then their pension's frozen. And I think this is absolutely appalling. I gather Gran is in hospital now.
Valerie Rumble's mother is a prime example of how the value of frozen pensions fade over time. Delicia Wilmot came to Australia in 1978. Her pension was £17 a week. 39 years later, it's still £17 a week. If she'd retired in Europe or the US, her pension would have increased to £119 a week. Noreen and Eric Rogers initially retired to Cyprus, where Eric's pension was fully indexed. They moved to Australia to be with family.
Did you know when you moved from Cyprus what would happen to your pension here in Australia?
Absolutely no idea.
We come here and then it's cut off. So it's a shock, a total shock.
Britain argues the cost of full indexing would be too great, £590 million. Critics dispute that. British MP Sir Roger Gale says there may be hope on the horizon. Countries like Australia could force a policy change as part of new trade deals after Brexit.
It looks to us as though that could be an opportunity to say, look, we have once and for all got to take this, shake it and sort it.
Those with frozen British pensions are entitled to Australia's pension asset test, so it's often Centrelink that makes up the difference. The Department of Foreign Affairs calls the policy discriminatory and unjust, but it sees little chance of change. No matter, Jim Tilley fights on. Norman Hermont, ABC News.